My brothers and sisters, let me tell you something, and I want you to catch this with your spirit. Not just your ears. Delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Just because the business isn't booming yet, the marriage isn't healed yet, the breakthrough hasn't come yet, that doesn't mean you're being ignored. Helps us. It means you're being prepared. You see, everybody wants the destination, but very few are willing to trust the navigation. And the navigation system I'm talking about doesn't rely on your sight. It relies on your faith. Delay is not denial. It's preparation. This simple truth can shift your entire perspective on what it means to wait. Most people see delay as a sign that something's gone wrong. They think if it hasn't happened yet, it must not be meant to happen. But in the kingdom of God, delay is often a divine tool. It's not a cancellation of your purpose. It's construction for your purpose. We live in a fast-paced, microwave world where people expect everything to happen immediately. Success in 30 days, wealth overnight, relationships that don't require work. People want results without process. But God operates on a very different timeline. He's not concerned with quick results. He's concerned with lasting transformation. And that transformation takes time. When things aren't happening as fast as you expected, that doesn't mean God said no. It could be that he's simply saying, not yet. And not yet is powerful because it means there's still something being worked out as it helps us. Maybe there's a habit in your life that needs to be broken. Maybe there's a mindset that still has to shift. Maybe the people you're meant to influence aren't ready yet. Delay is God's way of ensuring you don't step into something that your character can't sustain. If you receive the blessing too early, it can crush you instead of bless you. So what looks like a delay is actually an act of mercy. Think about like this. No builder pours a foundation and immediately starts stacking walls the next day. They let that foundation cure, settle, and strengthen. That pause in construction isn't a mistake. It's intentional. Because if the foundation isn't secure, the whole structure is compromised. In the same way, your delay is part of your development. You are being strengthened, settled, and grounded for what's to come. Look at the lives of great leaders, the people who made lasting impact. They all had seasons of waiting. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before leading a nation. Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, and prison before stepping into power. David was anointed as king, but had to wait years, fleeing from Saul before sitting on the throne. The delay wasn't wasted. It was necessary. It shaped them, humbled them, taught them to trust beyond what they could see. When you don't understand the purpose of a delay, you might begin to doubt the promise. That's when fear, frustration, and even bitterness try to creep in. But when you understand that delay is preparation, you can wait with expectation instead of anxiety. You can walk through the valley with confidence, knowing the mountaintop is still yours. You don't have to force open doors that God has shut for now. You can rest in the truth that he's doing something bigger behind the scenes. Preparation seasons are where the real work happens. That's where your faith is tested, your obedience is refined, and your dependence on God deepens. It's in the hidden place where you develop capacity to carry the weight of your assignment. You might feel overlooked, underestimated, or forgotten, but you are not. You are being forgiven, not forsaken. The delay is a signal that something valuable is being built, not just around you, but AI in you, as it helps us. Most people want the platform, but don't want the preparation. They want the promotion without the process. But God is far more interested in who you're becoming than what you're doing. That's why the delay is so important. It's a cocoon moment. Not visible, not glamorous, but absolutely essential. What's forming in that place will sustain you when the spotlight comes. Waiting is working, even when you can't see it. This truth challenges the way most people think about progress. We've been conditioned to equate movement with momentum, action with advancement, and speed with success. So when we find ourselves in a waiting season, a time when it feels like nothing is happening, we start to believe we're stuck. We start to question if anything is changing, if our prayers are being heard, or if the work we've put in even matters. But in the realm of faith and purpose, waiting is not wasted time. It's strategic time. Something is happening, not just around you, but inside you. Growth is not always visible. Think of a seed that's been planted in the ground. For weeks, maybe even months, it shows no visible sign of life. But just because you can't see what's happening doesn't mean nothing is happening. In fact, the most important work is happening beneath the surface. Roots are being established. Foundations are being formed. That seed is fighting through layers of soil, adjusting to its environment, preparing to break through. If you judge the seed based only on what you could see, you'd assume it failed. But in reality, it's working harder than ever. In silence, in darkness, in the unseen. The same is true for your life. When it feels like you're waiting, feels like God is silent, when the phone isn't ringing, the opportunities aren't coming, and the doors aren't opening, something is still happening. That waiting season is when character is being built, patience is being forged, vision is being clarified, pride is being stripped away, humility, faith, endurance. Those don't come in the fast, flashy moments. They're developed in the still, quiet seasons. The work God does in the waiting is often more important than the thing you're waiting for. But most people get frustrated in the wait because they don't see results. They mistake the invisible for the insignificant. But spiritual development doesn't operate on public timelines. Heaven's agenda isn't driven by your calendar. Waiting is part of the process because it forces you to let go of control and lean into trust. It tests your motives, your mindset, and your maturity. You can't fake the wait. You either grow through it or you quit in it. That's why waiting is working. It's doing something deep in you. You're being positioned, not punished. You're being shaped, not sidelined. When you wait with expectation, faith, you are in agreement with divine timing. You're saying, God, I trust you enough to not rush you as it helps us. I trust that what you're doing in me is just as important as what you'll do through me. The world celebrates fast outcomes, but the kingdom honors faithful stewardship. Can you be trusted to stay the course when there's no applause, no audience, and no evidence? Can you show up every day with excellence when no one sees it but God? Because that's when he's watching most closely, not just when you shine in public, but when you serve in private. Waiting seasons reveal the depth of your faith and the strength of your foundation. This is the hidden curriculum of success, the part no one tells you about. The work that happens when nothing seems to be happening. The prayers you pray when you feel unheard. The actions you take when no one notices. The discipline you maintain when there's no reward in sight. It's in those moments that you are being prepared for more. The silence is not inactivity, it's investment. Every moment of waiting is filled with purpose. Every pause has potential. Every delay carries design. Foundation must be built before elevation. This is a principle that applies to every area of life. Business, relationships, faith, leadership, and purpose. You cannot rise higher than the strength of the structure beneath you. It doesn't matter how great your vision is, how powerful your gifts, or how strong your desire is. If your foundation isn't secure, helps us, your elevation will eventually collapse under pressure. The higher you intend to go, the deeper you must first go in preparation. A foundation is not glamorous. It's not something people celebrate. It's hidden, it's dirty. It takes time, energy, patience, and precision. But without it, the entire structure is vulnerable. Builders spend weeks, sometimes months, just pouring and curing a foundation. During that phase, the progress looks slow. It feels like nothing impressive is happening. But what they're doing in that stage determines everything that comes after it. If the foundation is weak, every floor above it is at risk. And the same is true for your life. Everyone wants the promotion, the platform, the influence, but very few want to spend time on the unseen parts that support all of it. The parts no one else notices in your integrity, your discipline, your mindset, your ability to stay consistent even when no one is watching. These are the beams and anchors of your foundation. They are built through repetition, obedience, faith, and resilience. They are tested in obscurity before they are trusted in visibility. The reason some people collapse when they rise is because they skipped the digging phase. They tried to elevate before they were established. They wanted to be seen before they were strengthened. But when storms come, and they always do, it's not the appearance of your life that holds you up. It's the foundation. It's what you built when no one was clapping. It's what you cultivated when it was just you and God, and everything felt slow, hard, or silent. The challenge with building a strong foundation is that it requires time without recognition. It means doing the work when there's no instant gratification. It means mastering the basics before trying to perform the spectacular. In a world obsessed with speed and visibility, foundation work feels like delay. But it's not delay, it's depth. And depth is what determines durability. Think of a tree. The taller it grows, the deeper its roots must be. If the root system isn't deep and wide enough, the tree will topple in the first strong wind. The roots aren't glamorous. No one comes to admire them. But without them, the beauty and strength above ground couldn't exist. The unseen supports the seen. The same is true for your purpose. If your spiritual, emotional, and mental roots aren't deep, your public success won't last. Foundation building also exposes what doesn't belong. It reveals the cracks, the weaknesses, the shortcuts we've tried to take. It brings things to the surface that we might rather ignore. But that exposure is mercy. You'd rather discover a crack in the foundation now than after you've built the whole house. That way, you can reinforce it before it's too late. So when you find yourself in seasons where progress feels slow and the results aren't matching your effort, understand that you're being grounded, not forgotten. The greater the assignment on your life, the stronger your foundation must be, as God is not interested in building something big that can't last. He's interested in building something deep, something real, something that endures. He's more concerned with your capacity than your comfort. Before you rise, he will make sure you can stand. Before you're elevated, you will be established. Before you carry the weight of the next level, he will ensure you're anchored at this one. Comparison kills trust in the process. This is one of the most subtle yet destructive traps people fall into, especially in the age of social media and constant visibility. It's easy to look at someone else's highlight reel and start doubting your own journey. You see their success, their growth, their breakthroughs, and you start questioning your pace, your timing, your worth. You start to wonder if you're behind, if you missed something, if God forgot you. But comparison is a thief. It steals your focus, your peace, your gratitude, and your ability to trust what's uniquely being built in your life. When you compare yourself to others, you take your eyes off your own assignment. You stop watering your own seed and start wishing you had someone else's harvest. But what you don't see is what it took for that person to get there. You don't see their pain, their process, their private battles. You don't see the hours they sowed in silence, the tears they cried in isolation, the prayers they prayed in desperation. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their center stage, and that's never a fair measure. Every person has a different calling, a different timeline, and a different set of circumstances shaping their journey. Just because someone is ahead of you in one area doesn't mean they're ahead of you in life. Progress is not always visible. You could be growing more in a quiet, hidden season than someone who appears to be elevated in public. And the moment you start comparing, you shift your mindset from faith to fear, from confidence to doubt, from purpose to performance. You start striving instead of stewarding. You start chasing results instead of cultivating obedience. Comparison creates impatience. It makes you want to rush your process to keep up with someone else's. But when you rush something that's meant to be developed slowly, you compromise its strength. What God is building in you might require more time, more layers, more depth. And that's not a disadvantage, it's protection. He's not just preparing a moment for you. He's preparing you for the moment. When you constantly measure your life by someone else's progress, you miss the specific work God is doing in your foundation. There's also a danger in comparison because it leads to resentment. You begin to resent people who are succeeding even if they've done nothing wrong. You begin to feel bitter toward God for not giving you what He gave them. That bitterness clouds your vision and poisons your spirit. It's hard to be grateful and jealous at the same time. It's hard to trust God fully when you think He's playing favorites. But the truth is, God's plan for your life is tailor-made. It doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be powerful. What He's doing in you is not late. It's right on time for the assignment He created you to fulfill. Comparison is also deceptive because it blinds you to your own growth. You're making progress, but you can't see it because you're too busy staring at someone else. You miss how far you've come, how much you've healed, how much you've matured. When you constantly look outward, you lose the ability to celebrate inward, and that robs you of joy. Trusting the process means celebrating every small step forward, even if it doesn't look like someone else's leap. Freedom comes when you stop measuring yourself by someone else's metrics. You're not called to their path, their pace, or their platform. You're called to yours. And yours is enough. Trusting the process requires blinders. It requires focus, discipline, and a refusal to let envy steer your decisions. The moment you stop comparing, you start growing. You start hearing God more clearly. You start walking in peace, not pressure. And you become more available for what's truly yours. Faithfulness in obscurity leads to fruitfulness in visibility. This principle is often overlooked because the world teaches us to value recognition over responsibility. We are conditioned to believe that if no one sees us, if no one acknowledges us, if no one celebrates what we're doing, then it must not matter. But the truth is, some of the most powerful growth happens when no one is watching. The seasons of silence, the moments of hidden work, the years of showing up without applause. Those are not wasted. They are where God does some of His deepest work in you. Obscurity is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the classroom where you learn consistency, integrity, discipline, and dependence on God as it helps us. It is where your motives are purified and your foundation is tested. Can you show up when there's no audience? Can you be excellent when there's no platform? Can you serve when there's no spotlight? These are the questions that define your capacity to carry more, because public fruitfulness will always reveal private faithfulness. What's done in secret sets the stage for what happens in public. Many people want to be elevated, but they haven't been proven. They want influence without endurance, visibility without accountability. But that's not how the kingdom works. God watches how you handle the small things before he trusts you with greater. He observes how you treat people when there's no benefit to you. He listens to how you speak when no one else is around. He sees how you respond to closed doors, unanswered prayers, and delayed promises. Faithfulness in these moments is what qualifies you for more. Think about David in the Bible. He was anointed as king, but he didn't go straight to the throne. He went back to the pasture. He continued tending sheep while holding on to a promise that no one else saw. He worshiped when no one was watching. He fought lions and bears before ever facing Goliath in public. That obscure season built the strength, courage, and faith that prepared him for leadership. It was in obscurity that he was refined, not diminished. And the fruitfulness that followed was the direct result of the seeds he planted in private. Obscurity is a sacred space. It's where identity is formed apart from achievement. It's where you learn to hear God clearly, because there's less noise, helps us, less pressure, less distraction. It's where you learn to love the process instead of just chasing the outcome. If you can learn to be faithful in that space, to steward your time, your energy, your talent, and your relationships with excellence, then when visibility comes, it won't shake you. It won't change your posture, because you were already established before the recognition ever came. The danger of skipping obscurity is that you arrive unprepared. When your character hasn't been tested and shaped in hidden places, the spotlight becomes a threat, not a blessing. It helps us. Visibility without maturity can lead to downfall. But when you've been trained in the shadows, you're not swayed by public opinion. You're not dependent on approval or applause. You know who you are, and you know why you're here. That kind of fruitfulness is rooted in deep, quiet faith. Obscurity teaches you to serve without being seen, to love without being praised, us to give without expecting anything in return. It teaches you to honor God when it feels like nothing is happening. And in doing so, it strengthens your spirit and prepares your heart. When you finally step into visibility, the fruit will speak for itself. People will see the outcome, but they'll never fully understand the process. That's the power of hidden faithfulness. It produces results that no one can explain and no one can take credit for. It builds a life that is grounded, steady, and unshakable. When it's time, you won't be surprised. You'll be ready. This truth shifts your entire relationship with the waiting season and the process that precedes your breakthrough. It speaks to the way preparation equips you in silence long before recognition arrives. Most people imagine success or opportunity as something that shows up out of nowhere, something that catches you off guard, something that you stumble into. But in reality, true elevation rarely surprises the person who's been preparing. It may surprise others, but not the one who has been faithful in the unseen. Preparation is the silent evidence of expectation. When you really believe something is coming, you live like it, you train like it, you plan like it, you organize your life around the promise. not the current circumstance. That mindset produces a readiness that becomes your posture even before the platform arrives. You don't panic when the opportunity shows up because you've already become the person who can carry it. You don't shrink back when the door opens because you've already rehearsed obedience in the hallway. There's a difference between waiting passively and waiting actively. Passive waiting is marked by frustration, doubt, and delay. Active waiting is marked by preparation, consistency, and faith. The people who are ready when their moment comes are the ones who didn't waste their waiting. They were reading, studying, building, rehearsing, praying, and sowing even when it looked like nothing was happening. Their confidence didn't come from arrogance. It came from alignment. They didn't wait for the opportunity to get serious about their calling. They got serious first, and the opportunity met them on the path of obedience. When the timing is right, God will move quickly, but his movement will always match your level of readiness. He's not going to elevate you just because you're eager. He'll elevate you when you're equipped. If the spotlight comes before you have the structure to carry it, it won't bless you, it will break you. So his love holds you back until the weight you're asking for won't crush the person you've become. That's why when the moment finally arrives, it feels natural. Not easy, but aligned. Not effortless, but familiar. You recognize the moment because your preparation gave you the vision to see it. Readiness is not about perfection, it's about maturity. It's about being able to steward what's coming without it changing who you are. It's about being rooted deeply enough that promotion won't make you prideful and pressure won't make you fold. It's about walking into the room you once prayed for and realizing you belong there, not because of entitlement, but because you've been forged in the fire of process. Most people are praying for a moment, but not preparing for it. They want the door to open, but they haven't packed for the journey. They want to be used, but they haven't sharpened their tools. But when it's time, there's no need to scramble. The person who has been faithful in preparation walks into their assignment with quiet confidence. They don't need to prove themselves because they already know who they are. They don't need to rush because they've already paid the price in private. God's timing is never random. It is precise, strategic, and intentional. When he says it's time, everything shifts. What was hard becomes accessible. What was delayed becomes accelerated. What seemed out of reach suddenly fits like it was made for you. But that only happens when the internal work has been done as it helps us. The reason it doesn't feel like a surprise is because you've been carrying the vision long before it was visible. You've been building the muscle for a battle others didn't know was coming. You've been rehearsing the answer while the question was still forming.